Good morning, boys and girls. Happy Monday. I hope you're having a great day. And Monday means we are starting a brand new lesson. But today we're also starting a brand new unit, which means we're done with data, we're done with measurement, but we're still going to use what we know. We're not completely done, but we're still going to use what we know from those units, and we're going to use it in this brand new unit. So let's take a look at what unit we're going to be focusing on and what we're going to be learning about. And we are going to be recognizing and drawing shapes. I love shapes and I love learning about shapes. So this is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to focus on. We're going to focus on maybe seeing some shapes and maybe using what we know about sides and maybe angles and vertices. And we're going to learn about quadrilaterals today. So we're going to be looking at shapes and recognizing like, oh, Miss Yanes, I know that shape, or drawing those shapes today. And you're going to follow along with me just so you have a focus, and your objective is we're going to focus on recognizing and drawing shapes today. And these are going to be 2D shapes, and they're going to be flat shapes. All right, let's get started with our lesson. Can you tell I'm excited? It says, woo, woo, my Bitmoji is excited. All right, here we go. So let's go ahead and warm up for our lesson. I love the start problems because our brain is going to get warmed up and focused for our lesson. Let's look at A. It says start. What is the name of each shape? So we're going to look at shape A. So let's look at shape A. And shape A looks like this. And I notice that shape A has 1, 2, 3, 4 sides. But I notice that the sides are not equal. And we call this shape a rectangle. This is a rectangle. Okay, we have A. Let's look at B. What do you notice about B? I notice that B has no sides. It's what we call round. We call this a circle. Good. Let's look at C. What do you notice about C? I know that there's points, right? I see that there's 1, 2, 3 sides, and we call this a triangle. Tri, here's a bonus. Tri means 3. So anything that starts with tri means 3. So a triangle. Triangle has 3 sides. Just think of like a tricycle. A tricycle has 3 wheels. So triangle. And finally, D. Dun, dun, dun. D is what we call a square. But you might think, Miss Yanes, A and D look alike. Why are they different? Well, let's look at what you notice about D. 1, 2, 3, 4 sides as well. But these sides are all equal. They're all the same size. So if we look at this rectangle, this rectangle does have 4 sides, but the sides are not all the same length. This square, all of the sides are the same length. So that's the difference. All right, is your brain nice and warm? All right, here we go. Try it. I love try it problems because this is just what we try, and we use what we know to try solving a problem, different strategies, different things that we've learned in different units. So I'm excited. All right, let's start with the problem. Macy makes this collage. Use the key to color each shape. So collage is when you have a group of something just in a picture or different things on a poster. That's called a collage. So we know that Macy, what is this problem about? Macy has a collage and there's shapes, right? What are you trying to find out? How many of each shape does she use? You see that last sentence? How many of each shape does she use? Okay. And what information is important? Do you see the word key? I see a key. And if you look on the right-hand side, there's a key, and a key tells you what information about the collage or whatever. Like a map has a key. It gives you some information. So let's look at circles. It says to color each shape. So right now, go ahead and go get your color crayons or your color pencils or your markers. You're going to need a red because circles are going to be colored red. Triangles are going to be colored blue. Squares are going to be colored yellow, and rectangles are going to be colored orange. So right now, I want you to go ahead and pause the video, and I would like you to go ahead and color those shapes. And you may press play when you are all done. All right, the next part. How many of each shape does she use? So this is kind of like a two-part problem. First, you're going to use the key to color the shapes. Then you're going to organize data. Hey, we learned about data last week. So how are you going to organize all of that information? How many of each shape does she use? Well, let's go to the next one. So circles, triangles, squares, rectangles. So I don't know about you, but I love shapes. So I think on my whiteboard, you have your math problem. I think I'm going to draw circles, and I'm going to write how many of those I found. So I'm going to circles. I'm going to draw triangles. I'm going to draw a square. And remember, a square has all equal sides. And I'm going to draw a rectangle. And I'm going to organize my data. So I think I'm going to use tally marks because that's a strategy that we use at the beginning of the year. So I'm going to go back to the first problem. And I have my data is going to look just like this. So let's see. So I'm going to count my circles. So I'm going to look at all my red and I'm going to count 1, 2. Did you see 3 circles? So I'm going to draw 3 tally marks, just like this. So I have 3 tally marks for 3 circles. Now I'm going to go to triangles. How many triangles did you count? But do you notice that some of these triangles look a little different? Some of the sides are longer than the other, right? But it still has 3 sides. Doesn't change the attribute. That still means it's a triangle. It doesn't change that. So I'm going to, let's see, count all, even if they look wacky, I'm still going to count those triangles. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 blue triangles. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4 tally marks, just like that. Now I'm going to go to squares. Remember, squares have all the sides are the same length. That's a square. Let's see, how many did you color yellow? So I have 1, 2, 3. Did you count 3? I counted 3 squares. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3 tally marks for squares. But you might say, Miss Yanez, I counted different. But did you realize that maybe their sides are a different length? So I counted 1, 2, 3. There's little ones. 3, 4, 5, 6. Did you count 6? 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember, when we meet 5, we draw a line across. 5, and then 1 more. 6. All right. We can go back and check our work. Make sure you can count them all and make sure you got all of the shapes on there. Okay. Pretty. You can pause this video if you need to catch up. All right, I'm going to go to the next one. So far we said that we have 3 circles, we have 4 triangles, 3 squares, and 6 rectangles. All right. Before we move on, actually, let's go to the next slide. All right, I'm going to move my face over here so we can see. All right, let's look ahead. So we're going to make some connections. What we just, a try it problem, and kind of using some new vocabulary and some fancy words. I like to call them fancy words. So let's look ahead. The number of sides, vertices, are the corners, and angles tells us what group of shape belongs to. So let's look at A. Which color arrow is pointing to a side? So do you see that shape right there? Miss Yanez hasn't talked about that shape, but we're going to talk about it in a little bit. But we're just focusing on the colors of the arrow. So let's look at a side. Look at that orange arrow. A side is just that, the different sides. So I see that this has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides. So a side, the orange. So right here in this line, you would write orange. So the orange arrow. A vertex. Can you say vertex? Vertex. Or we call them, if there's more than one, we call them a vertice. And those are the corners. So the very corner is called a vertice. Which color would that be? Look at those arrows. So we used orange. Yeah, it would be the green. It's the very corner. It's the very corner of that shape. So that's a new word for you. Or maybe you learned it in first grade, but that's a new word. So let's look at the next one. An angle. Can you say angle for Miss Yana? An angle. So when we think about an angle, kind of looks like a house, huh? We look at an angle. We look at the very outside. So here's an angle or a vertex. Here's an angle or a vertex. Angle and vertices are similar, but do you see how it kind of the shape comes to like a corner? We call that an angle. And where it comes together on the inside, we call that a vertex. So vertice and angles, I kind of think of those kind of similar, but they're different. So vertice is where it meets, and then an angle means where it comes together and makes like a little corner. That's an angle. So you would write red there. So an angle, and then we use that red arrow to show an angle. Okay, the shape formed by two sides at an angle is a vertex. So at an angle, it's called a vertex. How many vertices does this shape have? So let's look at that orange arrow. A vertex. It's where an angle and it's formed by two sides. So this side came together to make a vertice, so that's one vertice. If you come over here, two sides came together to make another vertice. Here's another vertice. Here, two sides came together to make a vertice. Down in this corner, two sides, you see the two sides came together to make a vertice. And right over here, two sides came together to make a vertice. They want to know how many vertices, that's a fancy word, that's our new word, does this angle have? How many vertices? Well, let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It has 5 vertices. So I want you to go ahead and use a complete sentence to answer B. How many vertices does this shape have? And we don't know the name of this shape. So you can say this shape has blank vertices. Go ahead and pause the video if you need to catch up. And finally, C. Whoa, remember I told you we were going to learn a new word today? A quadrilateral. That's a fancy word. Do you see how that word is bolded? When we're reading and we see a bolded word, it's important. So that word is quadrilateral. You say it, quadrilateral. Let's read what it is. Is a shape with 4 sides, 4 vertices, and 4 angles. Name a quadrilateral shape. Well, we just learned about 2 shapes that are quadrilaterals. Can you think of a shape that we've learned that has 4 sides, 4 vertices, and 4 angles? What about this shape? Is this considered a quadrilateral? This shape is a square. Well, let's check. Does it have 4 sides? 1, 2, 3, 4. Does it have 4 vertices? These 2 came together. These 2 came together. That's 2, 3, 4 vertices. And it has 4 angles. Okay. So a square is a quadrilateral. Check that one. What about this shape? Do you remember the name of the shape? A rectangle. Well, let's do the check. Does it have 4 sides? 1, 2, 3, 4. Check. 4 vertices. 1, 2, 3, 4. Check. Does it have 4 angles? 1, 2, 3, 4. Check. So today we've learned about 2 quadrilaterals. We've learned about a square, and we've learned about a rectangle. So either one. So Miss Gianna's drew a rectangle. This is my side. This is my example of a quadrilateral. And I'm going to write because it says name. But I got fancy and I drew it and I wrote a rectangle. And I think I'm going to get a little bit fancier and I'm going to draw the vertices and the angles, draw an arrow, just like we learned. So here's mine. Here is mine. Making sure, checking my work. All right. So far, so good. All right. Reflection. Let's see. A pentagon has 5 sides, 5 vertices, and 5 angles. Is the shape above a pentagon? Okay, right now on this, I want you to draw a pentagon. Let's draw that shape above. It kind of looks like a house. Remember Miss Yana said it kind of looks like a house? Okay. Draw my pentagon. I'm even going to label it pentagon. Okay. Pause this video. Remember, if Miss Yanis is going too fast, draw a pentagon. Okay, so I drew my pentagon. I even labeled it pentagon. So let's see. It has 5 sides, so I'm going to count the sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so I'm going to do one check. Has 5 sides. Okay. Let's see. It has 5 vertices. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hey, it has 5. Now let's see angles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is this shape called a pentagon? I just drew it. I'm going to circle. Yes. This shape is called a pentagon. And it says explain. How do you know that this shape is a pentagon? So you're going to write a sentence down here explaining to Miss Yanis, how do you know that this shape is a pentagon? All right, my friend, great job using your exit ticket, but we're not done yet. We have one more. Our vocabulary. Vocabulary is very important. So we have our graphic organizer. On the left, we have our words. So circle, triangle, rectangle, and square. And I wrote in my own words, but as another exit ticket, I would like you to draw the shape. So for the example, a circle, you're going to draw a circle. For a triangle, you're going to draw a triangle. For a rectangle, you're going to draw a rectangle. And for a square, you're going to draw a square. Go ahead and fill that in, push pause. And I hope we had a good time learning about 2D shapes and their attributes, which means their sides, their vertices, and their angles. Please make sure you pause this video. Please make sure you go back if you need and pause this video. I hope you have a great day, my friends. Great job. Bye, my friends.